Gold is your most bullish call. Where do we go from here?
I think it's surprised us in terms of intensity so far this year. I think the trifecta of the Fed cuts, central bank sharp support, particularly from emerging Asia, the likes of China, the likes of India. And I think, of course, it's hedged as a geopolitical last resort. I think it still continues to remain a very strong conviction story as we go for the rest of this year. And I think, of course, with the elections coming up, I think a lot of that's going to mean in terms of uncertainty. And I think you want to be long gold at this current juncture.
Long gold, and you're calling gold for 2350, right? And right now we're tucked just under a record high, about 2180 or so. There you go. I got to ask though, these expectations, Fed expectations, right, which have been pulled back pretty significantly. In fact, they've been halved. It wasn't that long ago we were looking for 6, 7 cuts. Now we're down to 3 cuts. Is that going to pressure the dollar? Probably not nearly as much as originally expected, though. Isn't that, or could that limit the upside of gold?
I think what's really interesting about the gold story this year is that it's not just the financial play in terms of the Fed cuts, but also in terms of the physical. And in terms of the central bank support, it's just been significant. When you look at the flows coming into China, when it's coming into India, that physical demand is just significant. And I think in terms of that diversification play from a lot of the central banks continues to play out. So even if there were to be sort of, Fed cuts a bit later in the year and say June gets pulled out to say Q3, Q4, I think that strong physical demand continues to play a very, very strong story there.
Why is there such strong physical demand from central banks in China, in India, for example?
Look, I think in a deglobalized world, or increasingly so in terms of the breakage of supply chains and the economic autarky that we see consistently, you want to be diversified. And I think physical hard assets like gold, like bullion, have consistently been a very strong play when it comes to emerging Asia.
One question is this: we've got 6 months, Trump is coming back. Is that what the thinking is?
I think that would, if anything, that would only add to the story. I think that would add wood to the fire going into that. I think it's still early to assume that Trump does come back, but if he was to come back, I think certainly that in terms of that deglobalized world that we're living in would only be exacerbated further.